What do you think is the biggest mental barrier that prevents 2.3 billion Christians to accept Islam, to consider
Salvation. Salvation. It's not Trinity. It's salvation. The concept of salvation is actually the concept in Christianity. And they have a notion of what that means because of the way they framed it. It's often we think the Quran goes against Christianity. That's an oversimplification. The Quran takes concepts in Christianity that were misinterpreted. I know this is going to take 2 minutes. Allow me these 2 minutes. There's mushrikun in the Quran and there's Ahlul Kitab. But we know Ahlul Kitab are also mushrikun, right? Yeah. So why not just call them mushrikun? Why? Because the mushrik says there are 5 gods, or gods has these many daughters, etc., etc. This is shirk because they believe in multiple gods. If you ask a Christian, how many gods do you believe in? What are they going to say?
1, but 3.
No, they won't say 3.
Oh, they will say 1.
They'll say 1. I believe in God. They'll never say I believe in gods. They'll say I believe in God. But they misinterpret that God to be 3. Now understand, the mushrik says there are multiple gods. The Christian says God is one, but I interpret in this way. So the difference between the mushrik outright and the shirk of the Christians is they have a shirk in their interpretation. There's a big difference. This is like immediately shirk, and this is interpreted shirk. What does the Quran do? The Quran points out the places where they took something and they misinterpreted it. And then it starts from the same place and it interprets it in the right direction. So I'll give you one example. They believe in the beginning there was God, and then there was the word, logos, yeah? And Jesus is the word of God. And since the word of God is eternal, therefore, since Jesus is the word of God, Jesus is also eternal. That's kind of the logos logic, right? What's the Arabic word for logos? Kalima, right? Did the Quran call Isa alayhi salam a kalima? Yeah. That's the starting point of their entire theology. And the Quran used it. It's dangerous. But then he said, no, but the kalima of Allah is simply kun fayakun. So instead of making the word eternal and all of that, no, the word just means when God says a word, that word comes into existence. So the word became a miracle instead of being the eternity and God, part of God and all of that. Allah took the same logos and redirected its interpretation. And Allah does this over and over. He did this with the Virgin Mary. He did this with Jesus. He did this with Adam. Instead of completely dismissing Christianity, it takes all the points of divergence and redirects them beautifully. It just does such a beautiful, if you study Christian theology and then you study how the Quran is doing things, you'll be baffled. I did a study of the story of Adam alayhi salam. The study of Adam alayhi salam in the Old Testament, the study of Adam alayhi salam in the Christian interpretation of the Old Testament, the study of Adam alayhi salam in the Jewish interpretation of the Old Testament, and then the study of Adam alayhi salam in the Quran. And the Quran, in its story, it's commenting on the Bible and the Christian interpretation and the Jewish interpretation and correcting all of them at the same time. All of them. Like a couple of 1,000 years of scholarship is being addressed point by point by point in few ayat of Surah Al-Baqarah. It is mind-blowing. Like if I started giving you examples, it would take a long time, but like the Christian world hasn't experienced the Quran, and our claim should be, actually guys, you haven't experienced the Bible because you haven't experienced the Quran. Let us help you experience the Bible all over again. That's actually my claim to Christians. Come, let's talk about the Bible.